The feeling of success overfilled me. I bit into the warm flesh that laid in my hands and savoured every little piece. Someone touched my shoulder. I looked round and scowled at the person as blood dripped off my chin. I must have looked savaged. This person was a tall, slim man. He had long black hair that reached just above the middle of his back. I didn't say anything and waited for him to speak. Once again, I turned round and carried on eating the meat, which had taken me so long. I heard him mumble. I looked up at him. I saw his mouth was stitched together with metal wires. I grumbled and got out my knife from my belt. The guy flinched as I got closer. Stay still. If you want me to cut these stitches open, I said gently as a warming smile spread across my lips. He looked at me and closed his eyes, then nodded. I grabbed his chin in my left hand, tilted it slightly, then plucked at the metal with my knife. No hope. I murmured to myself. So I grabbed a pair of wire cutters that I was saving just in case they broke. And I'd only found them a few days earlier anyway. I cut the first wire. He yelped with pain and pulled away from me as he sobbed in pain. Sorry, it's only going to hurt 5 more times. Come on. Once again, he came over, closed his eyes, and, well, what had he been? Biting his lip. I cut with the 4 without any problem. The 5th one was switched twice over, so it was going to hurt. As I cut it, his mouth burst open and a shout of agony followed. The man fell to the floor and cried. I turned around, sat, and ate the rest of my meat, which took me so long. This kept running through my head. A few days I hadn't eaten, and so this meat was my main priority. Probably about half an hour later, the man sat next to me in silence. Only the crackle of the fire was heard. Then the silence was broken. Thank you for helping me, he said quietly, not able to say much due to how sore he was. No problem. You'll feel better after it has healed. I looked back at the fire and let it warm my face. Where are we? He said, shivering, and shrugged. I shrugged, then replied. Depends on who you are. Some people can call it hell. Some people call it devil's playground. I say it's a lot worse than that. It's your worst nightmare with 10 times the madness. His face turned white. Why am I here? I haven't done anything wrong. He stood up and shouted at the sky. Why, God? What have I done to deserve such punishment? I laughed. You think God would send you here? He isn't listening to you. No point praying or begging. The man looked at me with surprise in his eyes, then sat back down. I threw more wood into the fire and blew the flame. I'm Vince. And you are? He held out his hand. I'm Emily. I shook his hand. How did you get here? Don't actually know or remember. From what I know, I fell asleep in my bed. Woke up in this never-ending nightmare. You? The stitches on my arm. Well, I was in hospital waiting to see the nurse about the stitches on my arm. Fell asleep and woke up here with the stitches shutting my mouth instead. He rubbed his jaw. We stayed in silence for the remaining few hours.